Hello guys, in this video we're going to be discussing how to interact with in-game weapon drops and picking up weapons as well. So in the last video, we checked out how to, have a efficient weapon switching system, where you can switch to, an AK and an M1911, by scrolling your mouse wheel. And in the next video, we will be talking, or in this video, sorry, we will be talking about how to drop this weapon and how to pick it up. Okay, so with that out of the way, let us get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn down this light because it is very bright and I can't see. Okay, cool. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is a quick refresher on how our weapon system works. Is that we basically have here attached to our first-person character, we have an array with scriptable objects that control, the data for each gun, and basically spawn them in accordingly. And basically, what we're going to do in this episode is that we're actually going to make it so that if there's a gun on the ground, like let's say an M1911, or not that one, because that one is not the correct prefab. So like say we have a gun like this. I'm going to make it 1 point or 2 by 2 by 2. So say if we have a gun on the ground, and I'm going to add unpack the prefab, add a box collider, so it can interact with objects. Make it smaller because that is too big. That is still too big. 0.2 by 0.2. Alright, that's about right. And then let's add a rigid body. Or actually, let's make this a bit. Okay, so now that our box collider on our gun is the right size, we're going to add a rigid body component to it. So let's type rigid body, and we're going to tick on use gravity. Now when we press play, what's going to happen is that we'll see the gun fall to the ground, and we can, look at the gun, and it's not passing through the ground. Okay, so cool. So what we're going to want to do now is that we want the gun to be able to be picked up by us, the player. So we have two ways of doing this. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to be able to detect that a gun is in the vicinity when a player walks over it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to have either a box collider around the pickup prefab or a box collider over the player. So I'm actually going to opt for the box collider over the player because it's just simpler. Let's make this 5 or however wide you want the detector to be, 3 by 3 by 3. And then you just want to turn off the mesh render so the player can't see it. Turn on its trigger so it doesn't interact with anything. And now let us create a new script. Let's actually rename this cube to detector. And let's rename or name a new script or make a new script. We don't actually have to. Okay, we can use gun manager. So let's just open up gun manager. Alright, so now that we have gun manager open, what we are going to do is we're going to reference our detector that we have created in everything. So we're going to say public game object detector. And let's actually also create a public layer mask, or no, we don't need a layer mask. So over here, let's on the bottom, we're going to say void on trigger enter. Or actually, no, we do have to create another. And yeah, we're going to have to create another script. So let's go back in Unity. So once we're back in Unity, let's actually just right-click, create secret script. I'm going to call this pickup detector. Alright, so let's just go into pickup detector, and we'll go back to the gun manager. I actually rename this reference to pickup detector instead. But Yeah, so now that we're in, what we're going to say is we're just going to delete these and we're going to say void on trigger enter. So if anything enters our cube, which is the trigger, then this will what we write in the function will happen. So what we're going to write is we're going to say if other dot tag is equal to gun. So other being what the reference for the collider is. So if the game object within our cube of cube trigger has the tag of gun, then uh, we're going to set let's say public gun item uh, uh, gun in vicinity. So basically the gun in vicinity will be set to other uh, dot let's say gun get component. Uh, so we're going to actually pick up a script from the gun on the ground. So we're actually going to have to create a new script. So we can right click, create C# script, gun drop gun item, and we can enter the script. And we're just going to create like a simple variable here. So we just made public gun item gun. And yeah, so we're just gonna reference the collide the so what this is basically saying here is that if an object enters our cube, then and if it has the tag of gun, then we're going to set our gun vicinity that we're going to read from gun manager to this script's gun, which will be attached to uh, 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 which will be attached to a gun item in the game. Okay, so now that we have done this, we can actually just go back into Unity. So now you can see here I'm back in Unity, and I will now attach the script to the detector. So let's drag this in. Oh, we're actually just going to make the pickup detector quite a bit smaller, so maybe like 0.3 by 0.3 by 0.3 by 0.3 by 0.3. So as to avoid like a lot of guns being in the same place. So now we're just going to attach the M111. We're going to add a tag and create a new tag called gun and set the M111 pickup item to gun, the gun tag. And we're actually just going to add a gun item, or sorry, drop gun item, and choose the M111 for this. Okay, so now that we have that, we can go back here, and now when we go close, what should happen is why is this not happening? Let's actually debug a bit and have it print detected when there's a gun in the vicinity. So now let's go back into Unity. And now when we press play and go close to a gun, it should print something. So it doesn't print anything. Is that might be because of oh wait, yeah, okay. So it was because the size of uh, the size of the collider was too small. So we might actually have to make this 0.5 by 0.5 by 0.5. So now when we press play, we can actually just delete these print statements because they're a bother and we don't actually need them. So these are from the last episode, of course. And let's delete this print statement. So now when we press play, and we look down here, pick up the detector has M1911 set as the as the gun in vicinity. Okay, so cool. So let's actually go into low poly and prefabs and drag into AK, and we're gonna create a pickup item for that too. You guys can add as many weapons as you want. I'm just only gonna add 2 for now. Might add some later on down the road. But anyways, so now we just unpack the prefab, and what we can do is a very simple trick. We can actually just copy this, and or sorry, wait, and then just paste it in. Well, I guess it was only one variable, so it doesn't really matter. Set this to AK. Now when we press play and select the detector, we can see it change as we walk between the 2 items. Oh, my bad. We did not add a rigid body nor a box collider to it, so it does not fall because it does not have a rigid body and it wouldn't collide with anything. So now we press play again and we check on the detector. If we walk to this gun, M111, we walk to AK. Alright, cool. So now that the detection system is working, what we can do is we can just go to gun manager and we can set the second gun to automatically the non-equipped gun to automatically be um this gun, the gun that is in pickup detector. So we actually do need a reference pickup detector. My bad. So what we're gonna say is public pickup detector, and once we're done that, we can scroll down and we can, or sorry, on void maybe. Actually, we can actually have pickup detector also reference gun manager. So public gun manager, and when it picks up, we can actually just have it reference a gun manager function. So we're going to create a new function here that says public void on pickup, and just have pickup detector call on pickup whenever there is a new gun that is going to be picked up. Okay, so now when we come back here, we should be able to start coding our new function. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to simply call on pickup detector. So we're going to say, the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to check for the current gun. So, I forgot what we said here. Okay, so if current gun is equal to 0, then right. Okay, is there a variable storing what? Is there a variable storing which gun we're currently on? Because I believe, actually, you know what? Well, let's do some testing here. So we're just gonna print current gun in out. Sorry, print current gun in. We're just gonna print this, and I'm gonna check what happens when I scroll. Just for double checking that I'm doing everything right. So now when we press play, 1. Why does it always say 1 or 0? Okay, 1, 0. It doesn't switch to 0. Why not? Why does it not switch to 0? Okay, so it's pretty apparent that current gun in doesn't actually dictate. Or actually, what? Okay, let's actually, because that was confusing. Let's actually print only when we switch. So press play. Okay, so 1, 1. Okay, interesting. 0, 1. Okay, so 1. What? Why? Okay. Okay, so for some reason we don't have a variable that stores the current gun integer. So what we're going to actually do now is we're going to state that if uh, current gun obj is equal to current gun dot prefab, then we're going to print cool. Else print not cool. Okay. Those are just standard print statements. We can change that. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to test. So um, it should say, okay, well we have a no reference here. Oh, okay. So we didn't actually drag in um our gun manager. And for gun manager, we're going to drag in our detector. Okay, so now when we press play, if I have my current gun slot equipped, it should say cool and not cool. There's what is this? Destroy current gun object. Oh, okay. Okay. So now there's a new bug. We can't actually switch weapons when we're over an object. Which is so we're going to need another data type to check which gun we're currently on. So I forgot what we did in the last video, but um, let's actually just look over here and uh, see if there's anything. Okay, so one. This is so interesting. Okay. Huh. Uh, so I don't want to use current gun object because there of the error there. But uh, what can we do? What? Oh, also this. Oh, maybe this is why. Okay, okay. I think I got it now. So this is a bug that we had in the last video that might resolve our problem here. So okay, now everything is moving perfectly. Okay, okay. I know what else. Okay, so basically we called the function before we actually changed the integer, so that causes some discrepancies. Also for here, uh, this should not happen. So okay. So I forgot to delete some lines of code, and that caused our gun system to be faulty. But now it is all better, so we can see when it's 1, when our current gun is equipped, gun is 1, when our other gun is equipped, it's 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Alright, okay, so now that we have the discrepancy solved, we can actually just delete this because we know what now. So we're going to say if gun int is equal to 0, then we know second gun is equipped, and else first gun is equipped. So if the second gun is equipped, we're going to set cur gun to be equal to detector dot gun in vicinity, and we're just going to have here copy this, but second gun is going to be gun detector in vicinity. So now when we go back into Unity, you can see right now we have an AK in M1 for our guns, or sorry, an M1 and an AK. And if I equip the AK and I walk over the AK, you can see that now both my guns are AKs. When I scroll, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so that's the first step. We have now successfully equipped our weapon when we walk over. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to actually delete the weapon. So in pickup detector, we're going to need a game object, so public game object, to store the gun on in the scene. So public game object, gun, physical gun. But I'm that. And we're just going to destroy physical gun. All right. So, or sorry, no. Actually, yeah. Okay. Now when we go back into Unity, what's going to happen is that when I walk over it, it's going to get okay. So what's happening is that we didn't actually set physical gun to be a thing. So physical gun is equal to other. Anyway, problem solved. Actually, why is this giving me other dot game object? Sorry. Okay, so because the collider only references the collider, so we have to type the dot game object to reference the actual game object. Now when I walk over the weapon, it will destroy itself, and I will have the M1911, as you can see here. Okay, that is really cool. So now the gun destroys itself. It swaps out the weapon that we don't need. What I actually want to try is so I walk over this, right, and then I can pick this up, and it's an AK. Easy. Okay, cool. That is very good. So now what we want to do is we want to implement two more things. So one, when we press Q, we're going to drop the weapon we're currently holding, and one of the slots will be null. And two, we're going to be making it so that you drop one of your weapons when you pick up a weapon, because you can't have three weapons at once. We're only going to have two. If you want to have three, then you can try to figure that out on your own. But I won't go into more than two weapons here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, in our gun items group, we're actually going to add one more variable. So we're going to add a variable for, I think I said in the last video that we only need prefab. That was a lie. We're going to need a drop prefab. So this is, the drop prefab will be instantiated when we pick up an item or drop a weapon. Doesn't matter. And now we need to transform, and so we're going to just create an empty, and this empty will be where we drop our guns after we pick it up. So we can now just drop zone. So we should probably do it further out so we don't immediately pick it back up again. And now when we, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the guns, or scope of objects, and we're actually going to make these two prefabs. Let's go into our prefab folder. For some reason I can't make this a prefab. Okay, this is a prefab. No, this is a prefab. Okay, cool. And what we're going to do is we're just gonna, actually we'll keep them in. And in our guns here, we're gonna pin this and make it AK-47-1. Also, you should probably rename these because to keep organized. I'm not going to do it for the sake of respecting your time. And now we have our drop prefab variables. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the gun manager, and we're going to have our guns dropped at the transform once we pick something up. So first, let's actually deal with dropping after we pick up first, because that's easier than or that's faster, easier than just dropping out, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to say public transform drop zone, and what we're going to do is that when we pick up, we're going to say so before we actually set the current gun, what we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to instantiate the drop zone gun, and what we're going to do is make the M1911. So let's say if we drop an M1911, the M1911 is going to drop at the drop zone, and if we drop an AK, the AK is going to drop at the drop zone. So we're going to instantiate Kurgun in our case, Kurgun dot drop prefab transform, drop zone dot transform dot position. So we're just setting the position, and drop zone dot transform dot rotation. Okay, so now we just copy this here, second gun, yada yada yada, and now when we go back to Unity, everything should work just fine. So okay, sorry, I have not assigned. We have not assigned the variable of drop zone yet. So we're just going to do that real quick. Drop zone is here. All right. Okay, M1911 gets dropped. M1911 gets dropped too. An AK does not get dropped for some reason. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm immediately picking it back up after I drop it. Okay, so you can see an AK gets dropped after I pick it up. Alright, cool. So now the final thing, or the second last thing we're going to do in this video is we're actually going to have our player be able to drop the weapon after they press Q. So we're just going to check in late update. So we're actually to do updates, avoid update. It's kind of hard to avoid checking every single frame here, not checking every single frame here, sorry, because yeah, input is very hard to do. Or sorry, not very hard to do, but very hard to bypass for not checking every single frame. So what we're going to say is we're going to say if input dot get key down code dot code dot q. We're going to, sorry, I don't know why that happened. All right, so if input dot key code get key down key code dot q, we're going to drop the weapon. So call function drop weapon. So drop weapon, void drop weapon, drop weapon. There we go. Okay. Whoops. And now it's good. Okay. Cool. So what we're going to do inside this function, we're just going to say we're going to copy this code actually, and instead of this here, we're going to say null and null. So this is actually going to cause some problems when we switch weapons because you can't set the current gun item to null. Actually, it might just work out. We'll see. But I don't think it will. It might give us an error when we run. So we're switching now. If we press Q, yeah, see, okay, so when we scroll, there is an error because we can't set game object to null. So we're going to say, so when we switch our gun, if we can actually just check if the second gun over here or current gun is equal to null. So we can just say, so if so what was it? Current gun in was opposite. So therefore, if current gun in is equal to 0, then okay. So we can just set here if per gun or sorry, current gun obj is equal to null, then we're actually just not going to do anything. Return else do that. And over here we can just copy paste, except instead of current gun, or sorry, not current gun, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Current gun, or sorry, yeah, current gun, or no, second gun, sorry. And over here instead of this, it's current gun. And delete this to avoid the same mistakes that we had made last time. Current gun and second gun. Okay, everything should work now. So now after we drop a weapon, after we drop a weapon, we can't switch. Okay, so we got another error. Okay, so now when we drop something, oh, actually, I want to try dropping again. We can't drop again. So what we can do here is that we can check if Kurgun is actually available. So if Kurgun is equal to null, then we're just not going to do anything, and the second gun will automatically be set. So this is a pretty simple fix. So if the second gun is equal to or not equal to null, is not equal to null, is not equal to null, then we're just going to drop our second gun. So now when we go back in Unity, we can test this out. There's still an error though for when we try to drop our gun when we only have one. So drop, we can't swirl, we can pick it back up though. And for some reason though, we can't actually scroll. You can see my current gun has actually went up to 55. Which is not supposed to happen, obviously. So, I am an idiot. Okay. Minus. Whoops. My bad. Okay, cool. Now that we have fixed that, I forgot to change everything after I copy paste. Always make sure you check all your variables. Drop, I can't scroll, pick up, now I can start to scroll. Drop, can't scroll, drop. Okay, so the last thing that we have to address is what happens when we drop our only weapon. You see that error pops up. So what happens is that when we drop our weapon, right, where you try instantiating the prefab, and that's not going to cut it if we only have what? Why does not this give an error? What does the error say? Line 133. So, okay. Oh, I might have this reversed actually. Do I have? I might actually have this reversed. Okay. Now that we go, now we're going to just go back, and everything should work. Whoops. Okay. Uh, Q. Okay. So everything technically works now, but we have to set our current gun object to be our second gun. So we're just going to copy all of this here, and we're just going to paste it here down so that we automatically switch to our second gun um after we drop our gun, our second gun. And now we can just do the same thing here. So second gun, instantiate. Okay. Now when we go back into Unity, and we drop our gun that we're currently equipping, we'll automatically switch to our secondary weapon. If everything works, which it did not. Okay, so why did this not work? Oh, because sorry. I am not feeling myself today. It should actually be the opposite because we're switching to our opposite gun. We just dropped our current gun, so we can't actually switch back. So now when we go back, we switch automatically when we drop. But what happens when we drop again? You see, we get an error. So what we can do here is we can make it so that the simple fix would just be so that we can actually drop all of our. We always have to have at least one. So that's what I'm actually going to do. So we're just going to say if per gun and second gun is not equal to null. Because yeah, okay, so because if both of them become null, then we're gonna have a lot of errors. And the easy fix would just be to make it so that we can only drop one at a time. Now I drop this. I can't drop this no matter how hard I span Q. Pick it up, pick this gun up. I don't know why I dropped it. Okay, you can see I have AK, but I can't scroll for some reason. I can't scroll. Huh. Because what? Why is second gun the only gun that's being... Okay. So second gun is the only gun that's being equipped right now. What can we do? I might actually have this reversed. So per gun is equal to null and second gun. Okay, so I think I had it reversed, which is why I couldn't scroll because the return statement prevented me from scrolling. So now if we press play and we drop this weapon and we go back into Unity, we can scroll. But there's an error. Why is there an error? Second gun got pretty fast. Well, there is a second gun though. Object reference not set to a gun transform dot gun in dot. Okay. Well, why is what's nothing's getting changed. Second gun dot prefab. But second gun is there, right? It's right here. What's okay? So there is no second gun now. What happened to? Did I drop it? Okay, well the error is obviously still there. So yeah, so it's still there. When I try to pick up an item, it doesn't do anything. Right, it doesn't equip to the second automatic spot. So we have to actually fix this in the pickup item script. So, oh wait, so after a little bit of debugging, I found out the reason why the code was not working. So basically, when we dropped the weapon, we didn't actually set the hard code um to actually equal to the opposite value. So when we are over here, the gun still thinks we're on the drop gun, so it switches out the first time if we are picking up for the first gun. So now that I fixed that, we can proceed and we can go to Unity. If you didn't catch that and was unable to copy it down, I will link the code in the description so you can go check it out. But basically, now when I drop it and I switch back, I can do stuff like this. I don't know why it always drops the first. Oh no, sorry. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay, so everything's working now. Everything's in perfect order. So the last thing we're going to actually do in this video before I wrap it up is we're going to ask the player if they actually want to pick up the gun. So let's actually just create a very simple text mesh pro. We're just going to import the essentials. And once that is finished loading, we're just going to say we don't need the extras. We're just going to put this in the middle, center it. And we're just going to say, let's make this text actually green because green is easier to read. Make it dark green actually. Yeah, so something like this. Center it, auto size, and pick up blank. Okay, so now this will be your pickup text for when we interact with an object. So let's go into our code and we can go to pickup detector, and instead of on triggers enter now, we can just change it to on trigger state. So now actually we actually need another variable. We're gonna have no. Yeah, okay, let's get another variable. So public game object name. So or sorry, ints. Or sorry, string, sorry. Public new string name. So this is going to be the name of the gun that's showing up. We actually have to make this a public new string because name is already the variable name for our class, the name of the scriptable object. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually say, so on trigger state, so this fires every time something is inside. So we're going to actually say, so if other.tag is gun, and if input.get key down key code dot e. So if the player fires the E button, we're only then are we going to do all of this. So actually on trigger state, if other.tag is equal to gun, we can actually set so we're gonna actually reference a game object for the canvas object, which is going to be let's call this pickup text. And we're actually going to set pickup text dot text. We're actually gonna need CM Pro, and we're gonna set this to text mesh pro UI. And so pickup text dot text is going to be equal to gun in vicinity dot name. So now we're actually going to set gun in vicinity here, and we're actually not going to make it just the name. We're going to say pick up plus the name. Okay, so now that we have all of this, and it's all dandy, but the last thing we're going to do is once the player leaves the field for the object, we're just going to say on trigger exit. Oh, also we have to set pickup text game object active. Because otherwise we won't be able to see it. But pickup text game object dot set active to be false once we leave the game object. So now let's just drag in the variables after we disable the text field, and everything should work perfectly. Also, we need to give the gun's name. So AK-47 will obviously be AK-47, and M1911 will obviously be M1911. Now when we press play, and we enter close, we can see pick up M1911. And we press E, we just picked it up. Actually, you can't tell because, okay, but now we press E, we drop their AK, and we can no longer have the AK. So the text is not disappearing because we technically never left the trigger. The trigger got destroyed. So we actually have to just set it false when we do pick up. So now when we go back to Unity, we should not see that the text will linger any longer. So now we go to Unity, pick up M1911. Yes, please let me pick up. Okay, it disappears after I pick up. Pick up AK-47. Should probably make the trigger a bit bigger, actually. Yes, I now picked up the AK-47. Alright guys, that should be pretty much it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be talking about saving system. So you can save your inventory as equipped and a heads-up display if we get to it. But anyways, thank you for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.